Britain and Brazil have in common. We both love football, we are Christian, family-oriented and patriotic. And most importantly, we both have a historic rivalry with Argentina. We are also plagued by the same enemy, the socialists and the communists. Lula in Brazil and Tutier here in Britain. These lunatics seek to take away everything we love, reducing us to simple, unquestioning cogs in their machine. So today I'm going to talk to you about the dangers of communism in Britain and how we've seen the far left infiltrate and take power in almost every major institution, from our police to our schools and even our armed forces. The blueprint for this insidious takeover is known as the Long March through the institutions and has been used globally by the Marxists since the end of the 1960s, when they realised they could not defeat the West in warfare, as communism and the subsequent lack of food, perhaps unsurprisingly, doesn't create strong armies. Nor could they defeat us in the field of debate, as the average person finds the ideals of communism as unpalatable and as insane as Nazism. Instead, in order to push their twisted agenda, they had to impose their questionable ideology via stealth onto the public, through their long march through the institutions. So what does this long march look like? Since the late 1960s, the Marxists have infiltrated our establishment, taking unpopular jobs like recruitment, teaching, human resources, or secretarial work. Yet while these jobs aren't always the most riveting, they hold an immense amount of power. Those in recruitment can vet employment, ensuring only those who share their beliefs are hired. As we can see also regularly, those who are publicly conservative are barred from certain roles, whilst rabid leftists hold the majority of public sector jobs. In fact, a poll following the 2024 election found that 79% of British civil servants voted for the left or centre political parties. Those in teaching form the minds of the next generation, or, as we now see, can transform our education system into a left-wing brainwashing factory, where young people are groomed into following extremist ideologies, from supporting proscribed terrorist organisations like Hamas to partaking in radical gender theory. With the Long March theme, is it any surprise that polls show 87% of teachers vote for left-of-centre parties at election time? Those in human resources can enforce the Marxist agenda in the workplace and hound conservatives out of employment, whilst covering for and protecting their communist comrades. Has anyone here been referred to human resources yet? It is a badge of honour for saying there's only two genders, but there we go. And those in secretarial roles can gatekeep their employers. I heard an interesting story actually about a former government minister, the Minister for Women and Equalities. She was due to meet with gender critical activists, so activists who say there's only biological males and biological females, and opposed to, say, transgenderism. Her civil servants would deliberately book meetings with these activists on days they knew the minister would be at conferences, but weren't yet in the diary. So when the minister was due to meet people to provide an alternative view to the civil service, the meeting would get cancelled and postponed and rebooked in a day, and they'd do it like that. So that's how you can see how they can gatekeep and stop ministers from hearing opinions that differ from the civil service narrative. Thus, we can see the real effect of the Long March through the institutions, an enforcement of the Marxist agenda without having to win an election or a debate. The dangers of this covert Marxist takeover are further illustrated by our once great police force. New police officers are no longer recruited based on their skill set, but instead on whether they tick a certain diversity box or whether they subscribe to the woke ideology. The result is devastating to law and order. We now have 5-foot police officers who are physically unable to arrest the usual suspects and are regularly assaulted by violent criminals, resulting in thousands of police officers resigning whilst barely being out of training. On the other hand, if they stick it out, the new officers are more willing to become the foot soldiers of the Liberal regime, carrying out new policing duties such as harassing pensioners in the middle of the night for posting a state-unsanctioned meme on Facebook, or for tweeting that maybe our women and children shouldn't be subjected to horrific sexual violence from undocumented criminals. In the most shocking case I've seen, West Yorkshire police violently arrested an autistic teenage girl with scoliosis because she said a female police officer with short hair looked like, and I quote, her lesbian nana. Luckily, the girl wasn't charged due to a social media storm, but most people aren't so lucky, and two-tier Keir's regime is rounding people up daily. Every year in Britain there are 12,000 free speech stifling, radical liberal agenda enforcing arrests over so-called offensive posts on social media. That means our police are arresting 30 people a day for these alleged hate crimes. We are told in this country, in once great cities like our capital London, which are now lawless hellholes, that there are not enough police officers to investigate and tackle gang crime, muggings, and other antisocial behaviour. Even me, I had a watch stolen in Soho about a month ago. And did I get a meeting with the police? No, all you get is a crime number so you can try and claim it on your insurance. And these criminals run rampant harassing people. But we're told there's no resources. We're told the police are too busy. Yet, they have limitless resources to police so-called hate crimes. This is because the agendas and targets are set by civil servants who, as a result of the long march through the institutions, tend to be leftists who are ideologically opposed to practical, conservative, common-sense policing methods, and so we are left in the dire situation which we're in now. So, we know that we are infiltrated, that as President Trump says, the enemy is truly within. So what do? How do we defeat them? First, we have to identify the problems facing our nation. No longer do we solely face the communists, as due to the success of their infiltration, they have manufactured 3 additional dangers: the Islamists, the illegal migrants, and the liberals. Next come the solutions to defeating each one of these threats to our democracy. As I've already mentioned, the communists attempt to subvert us from inside and seek to enforce a radical agenda that the British people do not support, do not want, and did not vote for. They will cripple you with taxes to keep you subservient, and if that fails, they will openly use violence to intimidate and assault you and believe they are justified in doing so. So how do we stop them? As we do with fascists and Nazis, I say we ban communists from working in the public sector. We would quite rightly never allow a Nazi to work as a teacher, so why would we allow a communist who would hang all of us given the chance to have contact with our children or be funded by our taxes? Jesus, thank you. We should also lock up any individual who uses violence to silence their political opponents. Let's send a message that anyone who wants to interfere with democracy or freedom of speech is not welcome in our nations. The Islamists, and I say Islamists, not Muslims, but any undercover hope not hate activists in the audience. The Islamists seek to conquer us and enforce a radical Sharia law that persecutes gay people and women and subject us to horrific acts of terrorism if we do not comply. We've seen this on our streets already, from the London bombings to Lee Rigby, the Ariana Grande concert, and just recently the horrific attack in Manchester where 2 Jewish worshippers were killed simply for attending synagogue. The way to defeat the Islamists is to enforce the laws which already exist. We shouldn't be afraid of being called names, and most importantly, we need to lock up and deport where possible the hate preachers and the 39,000 Islamists on MI5's terror watch list. All of this is currently legal to do in Britain. We just need politicians with the spine to actually enforce it. Many of the illegal migrants have decided that Britain is a soft touch, and they have come to rape and pillage across our nation. For all those hand-wringers out there who say these people are refugees, I ask you, when a migrant hotel is established in the area, why do violent attacks increase? Why does theft increase? Why do sexual assaults increase? I would also ask who actually wants these people in their community, and can anyone name a single town in Britain or the world that has been benefited positively by illegal migration? The solution? Stop housing these people. Put them on the first boat leaving and send them home. This again isn't radical, it's enforcing our borders, it's enforcing our law. Now, finally, the Liberals. They are such spineless weasels, they allow all of the aforementioned to act as they please. And even worse are the traitors who hold open the gate to allow the invaders to enter our homes. They allow their kindness and tolerance to be exploited and put the most vulnerable in our society in danger. From the poor girls who were subjected to endless horrors from the grooming gangs to the promotion of the surgical mutilation and brainwashing of our children in an effort to appear tolerant and virtuous. Now, how do we defeat them? Hold up a mirror to their face and call out their hypocrisies, challenge their misguided views, shame them into waking up and growing a backbone. And that is not for political gain, it is out of kindness to educate them about the error in their ways. So be warned, if we do not defeat our enemies, they will come for us and they will subject us to untold horrors. We've already seen this with your former president Bolsonaro, who was sentenced to more than 27 years in prison as part of a show trial to prevent him from standing in the next election. We've seen it in Britain, where they have locked up and persecuted patriots across the country for simply attending protests. And we've seen it again in America, where they tried to lock up Trump, but were thankfully unsuccessful in doing so. Now, if all of the above is not warning enough for why the communists must be stopped, if the communists can't jail or bankrupt you, they will kill you, as shown by what they did to our president and founder, Charlie Kirk. So in order to defend ourselves from far-left extremism and enact the aforementioned solutions, we are left with one option. We must have our own takeover of institutions so that we can save our nations. We need to help one another succeed in business and work. We must encourage our people to enter the judiciary, enter policing, enter teaching, and other important roles. Those who are successful in business must also invest in conservative youth and activism. The left has the unions to fund them, so we need private donors to step up. If we pull together, we can turn the tide, and we will make Britain great again. And I'm sure, like us, you will make Brazil great again. Thank you very much.